Okay, folks, in this video, I wanted to give you sort of an orientation to the course and show you how to navigate the site inside of HCC Eagle Online, which is also known as Canvas. We actually have the student view right now. So I'm looking at the same thing that you'll be looking at, all right? Now, the way I've designed this course, I've tried to keep the entryways to a minimum so that you're not having to dance all over the place to find what you need. So essentially, this course is designed entirely through the Modules tab. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't other ways to get in, but that's the principal way in which you begin the course and you do all the work. So if you click on the Modules tab, this is the first thing that you're going to see. You're going to see the Getting Started module, which most of you have already gone through, all right? You got the video introduction, a description of what MobLab is, the course syllabus, and then you're asked to take a syllabus quiz, which of course is based on the course syllabus. That's just to make sure that you've read the syllabus. There's a Respondus Lockdown Browser quiz, which actually is pretty simple. It's just basically getting you to acknowledge that on exams, I use Respondus Lockdown Browser, which is available for free. I don't use it for anything else other than exams, so all the rest of your quizzes and stuff and your homework you can do without a browser. There's just a handful of questions there. And again, it's really just to make sure to acknowledge that you understand how to use Lockdown Browser, and then it'll be a requirement. Economics Math Pretest. There really isn't anything you can do to prepare for this. The reason why it's called a pretest is I want to know what you know about math. And it's just basic questions. There's 25 questions. None of it involves really any algebra. It's mostly finite math. It's mostly about, what is a graph? What's a line? What's the slope of a line? What is a y-intercept? That kind of thing. Understanding the difference between a direct relationship versus a negative relationship, that kind of thing. And then there's this math readiness. And if you click on this math readiness, it basically explains everything that I just mentioned here. Define and understand what a function is, interpret the equation of a line, manipulate and construct a line, compute and interpret a growth rate, and read and manipulate a graph. That's pretty much it. And then you can also go and take a look at the use of mathematics in the principles of economics. And after you review it, I think you can just go ahead and click this next button, and that will take you to the introduction of the psychology of learning, which is your next module. The reason why I have this, because sometimes students are confused. Gee, I thought I signed up for an economics class, and this guy has psychology videos in the course. Well, it's really to make sure that you know how to prepare for a college course and that you understand really the psychology behind cognition. It's very important. This guy's great. His name's Stephen Chu. He teaches psychology, and he's an expert at the psychology of cognition. And there's only 5 videos. They're very short. Some are 7 minutes long, as you can see there, 6 minutes, 54 seconds. One's entitled How to Get the Most Out of Studying, Beliefs That Make You Fail or Succeed, What Students Should Understand About How People Learn, Cognitive Principles of Optimizing Learning, Putting the Principles of Optimizing Learning into Practice, and finally, I blew the exam, now what? Well, after you're done watching those videos, and if you add up all the time there, it's not very much. It's about 35 minutes worth of videos, because there's only 5 videos, and they all average about 7 minutes long. The longest one is 9 minutes. Then you just go ahead and click Next, and you keep on trucking. All right. Now, you do take those videos. They're on the Assignments tab. I'll show you what that looks like in a moment in the Quizzes tab. And then the next item is the time management. Where does your time go? This is a simple assignment. It's really a completion assignment. And what I want you to do is go ahead and click on this image. When you click on the image, you'll be brought to a separate site. And all I want you to do is fill this out. This is at Virginia Tech. It's the Cook Counseling Center. And it's basically an inventory of how do you spend your time. On average, how many hours do you sleep in a 24-hour period? How many hours a day do you engage in grooming activities? How many hours a day do you spend on meal preparation, commuting to and from campus? How many hours a day do you spend doing errands? All this stuff. And then, of course, at the very end, it'll compute, just how much, just where you spend your time. It's a very revealing activity. In fact, I'm just going to, just for kicks right now, go ahead and just, go ahead and add in some fictitious numbers here. So on average, how much do I sleep? I'll say 8 hours a day. And notice it automatically computes it to 56. On average, I'll just put, 1 hour for grooming, and that automatically populates that to 7. And meal preparation, I'll put that as an hour. How much time do you spend commuting to and from work? For some people, that could be quite a bit. Some people, it's like 45 minutes each way, so I'll put in 1.5. Notice it already calculated. How many hours a day do you spend doing errands? I'll put in there just 0.50. So that gives me, let's see, does that compute that right? 0.5. And enter that. Well, I'll just add 1. It doesn't seem to want to take half hours. How many hours do you spend each week during extracurricular activities? And again, I'm just going to put in, let's say 2. How many hours a week do you work at a job? I'll put in, let's say 25, which is, I've discovered, is pretty typical of most students, although some work a lot more. Spending class each week, we'll say 12 hours, because most students take about 4 classes. And how many hours do you spend a week on time with friends, going out, watching TV, and going to parties and stuff like that? And be honest with yourself. I'm going to put 10. And so, since there's 168 hours in a week, this is the number of hours that actually remain for studying. And most universities say students should spend 2 hours studying for every hour you spend in class. So in this particular class, it looks like I'm okay, because I've got 12 hours in class and I've got 34 hours, and I really only needed 24. But, if your numbers aren't what my numbers look like, you might be spending a lot more time than that. When you're done with this, all you got to do is go take a screenshot. You can use a free screenshot service like Snagit, which I'm going to do right now. And you just take a screenshot of what you just filled out here. And take it, save it to your hard drive on your computer. I'm going to call it time management. And go ahead and save it. And then once you're done, you take that and then you upload it in the time management assignments. Okay, that's pretty much it. That's pretty straightforward what you do. And again, the module's all driven by the module. Okay, now, if you ever want to get sort of a bird's eye view of the course, just go back to the course syllabus. You can read the course syllabus if you want. That's fine. But quite frankly, I've found that most students are more comfortable just looking at the course outline. Right? Now, the first thing I want to call your attention to is this assignments weighting group here. You'll notice it says assignments 0%. That's because we don't have any assignments here. I'm going to make sure to delete that out so that's not confusing. We have assignments. I just don't call them assignments. I call them chapter quizzes and homework. That's 10%. Wall Street Journal quizzes, that's 5%. Mob lab experiments are 5%. By the way, those are participatory, meaning they're just a completion grade. If you do them, you get 100. That's it. That's pretty easy. There's an essay. There's only one. It's due midterm in the semester. It's 5%. That's half a letter grade, so don't poo-poo that or ignore it. Midterms are 45%. There's only 3 of those, so each midterm counts 15%. The final counts 30. You add up all this stuff, that's equal to 100. Now, if you scroll further down, you'll see the entire course schedule. The first week really looks like a lot, but it isn't that hard, because if you just take a look at it, the only thing that's really academic is the Chapter 1 welcome homework and the quiz. The homework is taken in the same way that a quiz is. It's just that Canvas doesn't have a separate thing called homework. So I call it homework, and then I call the quiz the quiz. So you get the economic math pretest, lockdown browser quiz, syllabus quiz, time management assessment, and then a quiz over each one of the videos. And then, of course, your first Wall Street Journal quiz is posted and due until Monday. It's already up. It's ready. Now, you already have the journal articles that you're supposed to read. I gave you the links. Those links are located on the announcements page. In fact, if you want to go there right now, let's do it. Let's click on the announcements page. Let's go back, and you can see there they are. You'll see everything right here. All you ever wanted to know about those are located right here. And if you've already subscribed to the journal, not only will it bring you the link, you'll be able to read the full article. If you haven't subscribed to the journal, you'll only be able to read the first few sentences of the article. So it's important that you subscribe. The journal's cheap. It's $10. That's $1 a week. That's a student price. So there's no excuse for not getting it. And since I haven't adopted a commercial textbook, the textbook's free. So your only expenditures in this course are $10 for the Wall Street Journal, $12 for Mob Lab. That's $22 out of pocket. Try to beat that in any other course. I don't think you'll be able to beat it. All right, let's go back to the syllabus and go back to where we were before, which is in the course outline. So that's essentially week one. And then you notice that there aren't as many assignments in the subsequent weeks, although things are a little bit more compressed in this course only because it's 12 weeks rather than 16 weeks. So you will see us doing double duty on some weeks. So some weeks will have one chapter, some weeks there'll be two. So the first week there was only one chapter, but then notice in the second week, we got chapter 22 and chapter 20. By the way, that's not a mistake. The reason why I put chapter 20 right after chapter 2 is because a lot of the stuff in chapter 2 dealing with opportunity costs dovetails in very nicely with the material that you're going to learn in chapter 20 on international trade concerning comparative advantage. So that's the reason why I've done that. So that's not a mistake. And then your first official experiment is not going to begin in Mob Lab until October the 8th. And it's all based on decision-making biases. These experiments are very short. They only last a few minutes long, so they're disarmingly simple. Sometimes students will say, oh, gee, the experiment's already over. Did I do this right? Or did the experiment work right? Yes, it did. They're not designed to last interminably long. I don't want to try students' patience, and number one. And number two, it just isn't really necessary for the experiments to be very long. But they're part of a whole module. They're all called decision-making biases. There's several experiments in them, but you'll finish them in a matter of minutes. They're a piece of cake. They're easy to do. And unfortunately, since we're online, I can't make everyone do these experiments at the same time. What that means is you won't be playing up against other human beings. You'll be playing against robots. And, you know, that's okay. The robots aren't as smart as human beings, but they do have certain algorithms, and they behave moderately smart, moderately intelligent, but not like human beings would behave. And then you just keep on trucking, all right? Chapter 3, then chapter 6, and that next week. And then you'll bump into something called a class survey. I like to conduct a class survey early on in the semester so I can make modifications in my course based on your feedback. I do listen to students. It doesn't mean I always do what students tell me to do or the suggestions that they give me, but I do listen. And occasionally, some of the commentary is very constructive, and it helps me redesign the course. Like sometimes students have said there's too many questions on the exam, or the number of questions is okay, but we need maybe a little bit more time. And so I've made adjustments like that. So this course is built based on revisions that I've made on my own and revisions that I've made because I listen to my students. I don't want to hear the class survey at the end of the term because I want you to actually benefit from some of the comments that you're making to me, okay? So at the very end of the course, I want to be able to get your highest rating, okay, when you go and rate me on ratemyprofessor.com, which I know many students use. And I highly encourage students to go to ratemyprofessor.com. It's one way that you can help other students choose good professors. And I hope you have a good experience in this class. I think you will. But of course, in the end, you'll be the ultimate judge. All right, so you keep on trucking, and you can see the rest of the semester how it folds out. So you have that first exam. You'll always know exactly what's required of you on each exam, because I'll tell you exactly what those chapters are. And we're never going to cover chapters on an exam that we haven't covered up to that point. So in this particular case, we've covered Chapter 1, we've covered Chapter 2, 20, 3, and 6. I'm certainly not going to go beyond that, all right? It also covers not only the chapters, but any lecture videos that I assign to you in the modules, or lecture videos that I send to you in an email. For example, the reason why I wanted you to sign up for my ECON guys, because I have this organized in playlists. And it also helps me keep track of who's watching and who's not. So I have all records of that kind of thing. Later on, when students say, oh yeah, I'm doing the work, I'll be able to check and see, well, I noticed you're not watching the videos. So there's a record of how much time you spend on those videos. Watch the whole thing. They're good. I think I've done a really good job at designing these videos. And I not only use my own videos, I use videos of other colleagues around the country who have also done a great job, some better job than I've done. And I've curated those videos. I've carefully selected them. I don't post a single video that I don't intend, that I haven't watched myself first, okay? So that wraps up the whole thing, going all the way to the end of the semester. There are no surprises, all right? Now, every now and then, I might add some kind of an assignment or a quiz, but it'll usually be a very low stakes affair. And if I do anything like that, it will be with anticipation, meaning you'll have at least, a week's notice most of the time, or at least 5 days notice. But I'm never going to post something and say, oh, by the way, it's due tomorrow. I'm not going to do anything like that. So everything that's due is all here. It's going to be a very rare time when I'll post something brand new. But I might do that. But again, like I said, with notice, you'll have plenty of time if I ever add something on there. But that's pretty much, how you should be doing it. In fact, you can actually go to one of these things right away and see what they are directly from here. So I could actually click on this one, this video quiz. When you do, it says it's ready to take the quiz. It was available on the 24th through the 30th. But remember, it doesn't make any sense to take a quiz if you haven't actually watched the video. So watch the video first, then take the quiz. When you take the quiz, it'll open up inside of your browser, and you just start answering the questions. It's really that simple, all right? And when you're done, you click Submit Quiz. Now, I'm a fake student right now, so I'm not going to answer these. And, these kinds of quizzes are open book, meaning there's no respondents lockdown browser, because I actually want you to watch the video and then answer the questions, okay? Because I really want you to know the answers to these questions, because I do want you to succeed in this course. It's the reason why I've designed these modules, okay? So pretty much the only places you're ever going to be clicking on most of the time are the Announcements tab, so you can discover when, I have given you the readings for that particular week for the Wall Street Journal, or I may post something like, oh, by the way, here's the Mob Lab class code in case you didn't see it on the home page. You'll see the code right there, but I also posted the code on the home page right underneath my picture. But, a lot of times students enter a course in a different way, in a different path, and they may have missed it. And I'm trying to cover all my bases as best I can. But it's very important that you point and click and navigate and become accustomed to the site. Lots of times students ask questions they could have easily answered on their own if they had just bothered to do just a little bit of exploring, okay? Whenever you want to know your grades, you just click on Grades, and your grades only will be the only ones that will be posted, and you'll have scores on every single assignment. They'll all be here. Never be any surprises. You'll never not know how you stand in the course. Now remember, there's never any real running average. So if you see an average there, it doesn't really mean anything. And the reason why it doesn't mean anything is because every assignment that you do carries a different weight. Take a look, right? They all carry different weights. And until you've actually started to take an exam, something that's a little bit more high stakes, there's no real meaningful way that you can figure out what your average is, except to know more or less how you're doing in terms of looking at your scores. And you can do the weighted average yourself. It's not difficult to do, but until you have all your grades in, there's really no way to say, oh, that's my grade, right? You just know what your individual scores are. So that's important to keep up with that. Keep in mind that anything that involves written responses from you requires me to grade them. Anything that's a quiz that's full multiple choice, well, that's easy. The machine's going to grade that. The computer will grade that and spit out a grade for you. And by the way, don't get stressed out if somehow I accidentally chose the wrong answer for something. If you suspect that I have made a mistake in selecting the wrong answer or coding it wrong, coding the wrong answer in the quiz, just tell me. But don't say, oh, I'm confused. I don't understand how you possibly could have picked that answer. I'm a human being just like you. And so if you do that, I'll fix it, and your grade will be reflected accordingly. When you have this many assignments, that many questions that you can ask, there can be mistakes. I've tried to keep mistakes to a minimum, but those things happen, all right? So you get your announcements tab, you get your syllabus, I already showed you that. The modules, the heart and soul of the course, and then of course your grades. People is when you want to communicate with other folks in the course. Yes, you can communicate with me, but guess what? You can also communicate with your fellow students. You can ask them questions. And then, of course, there's the media gallery. This is all just for videos that are hosted directly here. And I'm going to click authorize, saying that Kaltura is allowed to authorize, to actually open up my course. There is no media here. However, on the My Media page, you will see media that I have actually uploaded through the Kaltura site. And when you're logging on as yourself, you'll be able to see it. But since I have a closed system here where it's a fake student, it's not going to reveal any media because I personally don't have any media. But you'll see media on your side inside the modules. I think I showed that to you. If you want to see it again, let's click on it once more. Let's go to a particular chapter. Let's say chapter 1. We'll click on chapter 1, click on what is economics. And by the way, some people have asked me, hey, look, where's the link to the textbook? This is it. When you go in, you'll see the module will tell you what you need to learn. You'll see individual videos. Anytime you see a little clip like this with that play button on it, that's a video. You click it, play it, and it will play right inside your browser. This one's 10 minutes long. And then this is the actual textbook. It's embedded so that you're not having to leave Canvas. So when you click on it, there you are. You're actually you're in OpenStax, but you're reading the textbook. And keep on trucking. Read the textbook. If you want to click on the table of contents, it's right here, and you can click on the individual sections, or you can just simply continue reading through as you're moving along. So this is the online version of it. And when you're done, you simply click next, and it will bring you to the next section. Notice it brought you into a new section inside that chapter. If you want to flip back to Canvas, just click on a new tab, and you'll be brought back to here. I've also designed flashcards. These flashcards are pretty straightforward. They're designed using Quizlet. Most students are pretty familiar with Quizlet because you probably used them in high school. And of course, lots of college students use them. You just flip them back and forth. It's sort of a virtual flashcard. And, this is a way for you to, of course, sort of study all the terms. By the way, I do ask questions about terms on the exams. Usually not for you to spit out verbatim the definitions, but I'll usually have terms on one side, definitions on the right side. In other words, those are matching questions. They don't count very much as part of your overall grade, but they do count for something. So I do want you to know the terms, because if you don't know the terms, then you don't know what we're talking about, all right? So there's the lectures. They're all embedded there. Those are my lectures. And these are other people's lectures. This is designed by a lady from a community college in Arizona. This learning glass thing, you can ignore that. I don't know why I put that on there. That was a mistake. But essentially, you keep on trucking through all of these. And when you're done, you can take the quiz after you've read the chapter and you watch the videos. In addition to the videos that I've sent you via email, Okay, so this is the regular rhythm of the course. Keep in mind, the only time you actually have to leave Canvas for anything is when you're doing a mob lab. You can't do mob lab exercises inside of Canvas. They're done at the mob lab site. So when you come across a mob lab exercise, let's go ahead and go back to where we were before. Right, here we are, and we have our first experiment, decision-making biases. That's due on the 8th. If you click on it, there isn't going to be anything there. Notice it says the assignment is locked in until October 1st. October 1st is when I'll make the experiment available, but it won't be available here. It'll be available in MobLab. So just go directly to MobLab. And by the way, there's nothing for you to do here, all right? This is just a place marker. And so when you're done and you do the experiment, I'll record all the students who actually did the experiments, and I'll give them a participation grade. The participation grade is just an automatic 100. Now, if you miss it, it's a 0. There's no makeups whatsoever for MobLab. Okay, so don't ask, because I can't do it. It's too much work. It's actually quite complicated to do makeups for experiments, so I don't do them. So make sure that you attend. They're easy. It's an easy 100. You don't want to give away 100s. That's like leaving money on the table, all right? So I think that's about as comprehensive of an overview I can possibly give you. I'm sure there are probably other things that you're thinking about you'd like to ask me, and maybe I didn't cover those. I can't quite think of what those might be, but there might be some things I've left out that you think are important. But I think those are the main things, the central things, that are the driving force behind this course and the reason why I made this video. In any event, don't hesitate to reach out to me and ask me any questions that you'd like via email. I'm also available by phone. I also have office hours on campus. I'll post those here. But essentially, on Mondays and Wednesdays, I'm available at the A-Leaf campus between the hours of 9:30 and 10:30 a.m. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm available at the same hours, 9:30 and 10:30, but at the Spring Branch campus. And I'm also available at Spring Branch on Mondays and Wednesdays between the hours of 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. All my office hours are conducted in the tutoring lab. So there's a tutoring lab at A-Leaf, and just go up to the information desk. They'll be able to point you to where it is. There's also a tutoring lab at Spring Branch that's located inside the library. It's a very public place. You need to sign in before you come in. If you drop in during my normal hours, you don't need to make an appointment. If you want to meet me at any other time, I can meet with you at any other time, but you have to let me know when you want to meet and actually make an appointment if it's outside those regular office hours, all right? Anyhow, that's pretty much it for now. Take care and best wishes.